Some Tarrant County criminal court judges tonight are being accused of misusing their discretion by letting high-risk prisoners out on low-cost personal bonds.
News 8's Brett Shipp joins us now. He's got details for us. Brett?
John and Glory, the program's called Pre-Trial Release. It's designed to allow a quick, cheap bail, typically for first-time offenders accused of minor crimes. So why are some Tarrant County judges using their discretion to grant speedy release to violent and repeat offenders? Tonight, News 8 investigates. The pretrial release program in Tarrant County is such a success, the county's knocking down office walls and expanding, letting more prisoners out on a reduced bond, paying 3% to the county instead of 10% to a bail bondsman. To be considered for release by pretrial services in Tarrant County, however, they must meet certain guidelines, spelled out recently by Program Director Michelle Brown.
Well, misdemeanors and nonviolent felonies for the most part.
Specifically, they must have no history of bond forfeitures, no previous felony convictions, and persons charged with first-degree felonies are excluded. But a News 8 investigation has found those guidelines are frequently not followed by the judges who are allowed by law to use their discretion in each case. Remember Christy Radisson, the Fort Worth woman accused of dumping her children on the Jacksboro Highway 2 years ago? After being charged with child endangerment in 2003, she jumped bond and bolted to Europe. A diligent bondsman helped lure her back to court last year where she pleaded guilty. But despite her previous bond forfeiture, District Judge George Gallagher allowed Radisson out on pretrial release. Days later, she fled the country again. Daryl Barnett works in the bonding business in Fort Worth. He says Radisson is probably gone for good. And what bondsman's going after her now?
There's not a bondsman looking for her. That was on pretrial release, so there's no one liable for her.
Judge Gallagher again used his discretion to grant pretrial release to convicted sex offender Brian Collins last year. Collins had served time in the state pen and failed to register as a sex offender when he was released, thus committing his second felony offense. Yet Gallagher allowed Collins out on pretrial release.
Yeah, I do. I think the judge was wrong.
The father of Collins' 10-year-old victim says he's shocked the judge would show sympathy to a sex offender.
What he's done in the past, and I think he'll still continue to do it, and I think it's wrong. I think the guy has a problem.
And for a judge to let him out for...
I think the judge has a problem, too.
Judge Gallagher also granted pretrial release to Eric Dwayne McCarroll of Arlington, despite being charged with a first-degree felony. At one point, McCarroll forfeited his $150 bond. We tried to find him at his address listed with pretrial release. I'm looking for Eric Dwayne McCarroll.
Yes, sir.
Eric Dwayne McCarroll, does he live here?
No, sir, he doesn't.
Have you ever heard of him before?
No, sir, I haven't.
Judge Gallagher says McCarroll has since shown up again in court. But the judge declined to speak with News 8 on camera about the McCarroll or any other case. He did, however, defend his decisions at a public meeting last week.
And if we feel that the people are better served by using pretrial than a bondsman, or if the system is better served by using pretrial than the bondsman, we as the judges have the discretion to make that call.
Indeed, Gallagher is not the only Tarrant County judge choosing to use his discretion in allowing accused offenders pretrial release. John DeJuan Shepard, charged with the first-degree felony count of delivering and manufacturing drugs, given pretrial release by Judge Elizabeth Berry. Angel Lucille Wilburn, charged with causing serious bodily injury to a child, pretrial granted by Judge Robert Gill. Milo Edward Garcia had previously jumped bail when Judge Wayne Salvant granted him pretrial release.
As a judge, I'm going to look at it the way I see fit to make it work.
But Tarrant County Sheriff Dee Anderson says it appears to him that some judges have carried their discretion too far.
When you look at a listing like that, when you see someone that has those kind of charges against them, obviously that doesn't pop in your mind that this would be a good candidate for pretrial.
County Commissioner J.D. Johnson, a strong proponent of pretrial release, says the guidelines may need to be revisited.
I would assume that since you've shown me this list that I'm going to be doing some review on the ones that I'm looking at with some of these judges. But yes, I think that we do need to take a look at our overall program and see what it is that the judges are allowing pretrial release to write bonds on.
District Clerk Tom Wilder also wants commissioners to look at the program's cost to taxpayers, about $900,000 a year. He says compare that with the roughly $2 million a year brought in by regular bail bonds. But as of tonight, the program is still slated for expansion, and we will see what happens. Gloria and John?
All right, keep us informed.
I will.
Thank you.
I'm going to switch gears.